Hello. Good evening, everyone that's here waiting. We're going to wait a minute or two to let some people come on in since they just got the notice that I went live. Going an hour later this time. So the time difference may be
since they just got the notice that I went live.
Hold on.
Going an hour earlier.
I'm a newbie at this, so still learning how to work everything and how to check out the other monitors and all that stuff. But uh let's see, Jessica was the first in the house. Hello, Jess. And let's see, we got Dream on Wheels is in the house. Band Beta Travels. Hello, Paula. Thanks for coming. And we got Kimberly V saying hello to everyone. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for being here. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the expenses of living a nomadic lifestyle. Now we're not going to be talking. I'm not really going to be talking from experience with living a nomadic lifestyle in an RV because I don't have that experience like Susan does. Hello, Susan. That's got some expenses involved with it that I'm not really familiar with. Hello, Desert Rocks. Good to see you. I don't believe I've seen that name on this live or really in the community. So if you're new, welcome. I think you'll have some fun within the community. I don't know about my live stream, but you'll enjoy the community. Hello, Lillian. Thank you for coming. And I'm still just going to give it another few minutes to let some people come in. I know Ava's either still going. Is she still going? If may get some visitors from hers and Doug's live. They've been on since 7 p.m. Let me see who else is here. Okay, so while I'm waiting for others to come in, I'm just gonna update you a little bit on what's been going on. Whoops. Oh, there you are. What's been going on Ron Sees America this week since last Friday's live, and I've got these things open. My mouse keeps moving and opening up other tabs. And I'm looking, expecting to see myself, and it's like, where am I? I don't know. Do y'all ever get lost in all the tabs that you have open? If you're constantly, you got all these tabs open, and then you go to look at another tab, and then you try to remember which tab you're in. Happens to me all the time. Hi, loves. Good to see you. Welcome in. This past week, on Ron Sees America, I think it was Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. I released "Won't Go in the Water" from Nags Head Beach, North Carolina, and just a little fun there with a little seabird not playing in the waves because it was avoiding the waves pretty diligently. But go check that out. Also on Thanksgiving Day evening, not Thanksgiving Eve, but on Thanksgiving Day in the evening, I released a public domain version of The Miracle on 34th Street. Now, this is a TV adaptation of the movie, and it was made for a 1 hour TV time slot. The story's condensed a little bit, but still a good story. I'm gonna that's under my American Christmas Memories playlist title. But between now and Christmas, I hope to release. I've got them scheduled, but I tried to do several of them and got copyright warnings on them, but so far so good. Scheduling one for each week. Thursday and Friday night. I think last night was the only Thursday I have scheduled. I think the rest are for Friday nights, and the last one being on Christmas Eve. So we're gonna do five installments of American Christmas Memories here on RSA. Just I think Christmas for me is it brings on this nostalgic kind of vibe to it, and I get really nostalgic when I see them old Christmas shows, or just kind of get kind of nostalgic. And so these old black and white shows and movies, TV shows and movies are fun to look back on. And so that's what I've decided to do with that, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hello, Amy. Amy, tell me about next week's video. Let's see who else. Hi, Linda Barker. How you doing, Linda? Good to see you. And this afternoon was the raid parade, and on the raid parade, I released a video about featuring a cabin along the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, and it's called Brenniger Cabin. It was built and maintained and lived in by the Brenniger family in the 1800s, late 1800s into the early 1900s. That's a pretty interesting little setup that the Brennigers had starting in 1880. So go check that video out, and join me on Fridays. And everybody else that's in the raid parade had a good raid parade today. Went over 2 hours. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Going Green Mom said that was the longest one yet. So, but if not, let's try to make that happen with the raid parade. And a lot of good videos in today's raid parade. So y'all, I think the list of the participants of the raid parade will be up on Megan's Going Green Mom's site until Tuesday, I think she said. So go check that out. Hey, Mo, how you doing? Good to see you here. Glad you came in. Like your new logo. Anyway, so that's what happened this week. 2 video releases, and of course the public domain, The Miracle on 34th Street. Go watch that, or wait till a time when you have time to sit back and relax and watch that. It's about 45 minutes long. It's made for TV, but there's no commercials, so go check it. Or there's no commercials in the video. Of course, YouTube will have theirs on there if you're not a premium member. Hey, Kathleen. I haven't called you that in a while. Hey, Kat, good to see you. Yeah, Kat, van and RV life is getting more expensive by the day, and most of that's due to the price of gas. And while before we really have a chance to really get into it, I don't know how deeply we'll get into it, because I don't really have anybody scheduled to talk about it except me. And I have my experiences, and I have those of you in the chat who have taken a stab at it or are doing nomadic lifestyle. And this won't be so much for RVs, except for the common price between a nomadic lifestyle without an RV and one with one is the price of gas. So that is a common connection between the two that applies. So let's see. Hello, Red. Hey, welcome. Good to see you here. Glad you're here. if you're sitting still in a nomadic lifestyle, if you're sitting still, you are saving money. So let me make an observation here. In the nomadic lifestyle versus being in sticks and bricks, I've figured that for me, the only real added expense is more fuel to put in the vehicle, and but it can be cheap if you, especially if you're in the West and using BLM land, but it can be cheap if you have a way, if you can move stock, or if you can, or if you have family members uh, around that you can stay in their driveway or whatever. It can be cheap, and there's lots of ways you can find if you're on a budget to save money, even with the price of fuel in most places. So the key is to try to find a way or ways to stay in one general area for a longer period of time. It's hard for me to do that because I always find myself wanting to explore. And you can't really explore a whole lot when you're sitting in a driveway or sitting in camp on BLM land or public lands. And remember, you have the right to use all those places. They belong to you as well as everybody else. So feel free to use those. Most of the time, you can stay in one place for 2 weeks at a time, and then you move on depending on what that state's rules are. Some require you to move 25 miles. Some require you to move less. And there might be some that require you to move further than 25 miles. But most of it's 25 miles. So you'll stay in an area that's BLM land. That's the Bureau of Land Management land. Bureau of Land Management is a government agency that manages lands owned by the United States government. And if it's owned by the United States government, it's also owned by you. And you can use that land, but always take care of it. Make sure you take care of it. I see too many people complaining about trash being left behind or whatever. Don't do that. Make sure, for me, what I do is when I'm done and I'm leaving a place where I've been camping, I go beyond my campsite looking to clean up and to leave the place better than I found it. So I encourage all of you to do the same thing. Now, Desert Rock says mobile living is expensive if you need your house with you, and I'm assuming that's the vehicle that you're living in. And I'm not talking about RVs. I'm not experienced with RV lifestyle, which is different because you have potential maintenance on an RV to take care of. You may be pulling a pull behind trailer, which is a separate vehicle. There may be repairs or service that needs to be done to it that eats into your living expenses. So for me, I live in a sticks and bricks right now because before the pandemic, I was already living a nomadic lifestyle. And for about 8 months of a 1-year test period, I was going to go out there and see if I could do a nomadic lifestyle. I was going to test it out for a year before I would come back and start doing whatever I needed to do to make that a permanent situation. And then the pandemic happened, and I felt the need to hunker down because places were closing up. It was getting harder and harder. BLM land was open, but what good is that going to do you if the grocery store down the street's put out of business because everybody's hunkering down at home, or the tourist spots are not busy anymore. So that the closures, all that stuff started making it really hard to know whether or not to stay out there. So I came back and and jump back into sticks and bricks to ride it out. And I never thought it would take as long as it has. But I feel confident enough that things have gotten to the point where I can begin to do that after the first of the year. So I'm going to go back to that and do that. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start pinning some of these comments and see what you guys have to say in the chat. And if you are living a nomadic lifestyle, type 1 in the chat. Type 2 if you're mixed, if you have a home base, but you try to get out and live on the, live on the road for a time. And type 3 if you're a supporter and just support the rest of us who do either try to live a part-time nomad lifestyle or full-time lifestyle. And Paula, I thought about contacting you, but I thought about it too late about this topic because that's the expenses is something you're having to take into consideration right now as you prepare to take your trip into the United States. And I know you're going to Arizona and looking forward to meeting you in person somewhere along your journey here in the U.S. And but I thought about you being about to do that in your ambulance, so it's something that you have to do. Travis and the Nine family, they're at home closing it down. They're about to take the family on full-time RV, Class A RV lifestyle, and their expenses will be different than for somebody, say, like me. I'll be starting this lifestyle out, and I proved this already in a car, in a sedan, because that's what I have now. It's a hybrid. Gas mileage is very good. I fill the tank up. I get 600 miles. That prompts me to want to explore more. So that's a thing for me anyway. And Paula says, it's very expensive to travel and keep a home functioning. It's true that in your home, your sticks and bricks home or apartment or whatever, maintenance costs are pretty low until something happens and you own the home. If you're in an apartment, don't have to worry about that so much because you usually have a maintenance crew that comes in and takes care of whatever breaks down. But if you're in a house, it gets expensive. Sometimes take into consideration here in the southern U.S., air conditioning is very important. But if that condenser goes out and you own the home, the cost's on you to fix. So, but when you look at the big picture, that sort of expense at home, and you got to think about hot water heaters and appliances going out or whatever. But the appliance thing also it's the same thing with RV life. You have appliances in the RV that can go bad and need service or replacement also. So, all right, I'm not following this very well. Let's see. Susan says full-time RVers life isn't cheap. We already had to buy a brand. I know you, and I was thinking about you, Susan and Jim, because y'all have had RV troubles around about the time of Mayberry. So I know that's fresh on your minds. If it's still not resolved, I'm sorry about that, but I hope it gets taken care of soon if it hasn't already. If it has, good. I'm glad to hear it. Hey, it's Kathleen. So here's the deal with it. If you're on a budget, and you need to consider the cost of fuel when you're living a nomadic lifestyle, van life. For me, it's car life starting out. You need to kind of plan to stay in a camp, especially if it's BLM land out west, you need to plan to stay there. Rather than what I do is like I said before, I tend to explore. So I break camp and a whole lot more often than you would if you were trying to do this lifestyle on a budget. And you can do it. It can be done. Especially out west in the BLM areas, because wherever you have camp, and especially if you do it in the area of Arizona in the wintertime or whatever, it's very beautiful landscapes and the weather's great most of the time. So staying in one place is not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to explore. I get the itch. It's kind of like Chrome over on Van City Van Life. I have to go around the bend and see what's there most of the time. And but if I was on a budget, I would have to kind of stay in camp, especially on BLM land for the entire 14 days. And you can do that. And if you feel like you need to move after the 14 days, some people don't. Some people can't. Some people try to, stretch it out in order to save and keep within their budget. But if you do move, you do really have to move 25 miles if you want to stay within the BLM regulations or whatever the local law or whatever the local limit is of your BLM stay. I think most of the places is 2 weeks on BLM land, but if you can, if you're someone who doesn't have any problem staying there that long, and then you move 25 miles, you can make a tank of gas last quite a while. So, also you have to have hookups in the RV. So you always have to consider that. And there's some RVers that are able to boondock, but your gray and your black tanks are going to fill up eventually, and so you'd have to break camp or whatever and take your RV to a dump station or rent an RV or go to an RV park or rent an RV space so that you have those facilities right there with you. And I'm just reading the chat, so hopefully while I do that, I aren't getting too bored. So Susan also says, we're selling our house. We're just staying not too far from Indiana right now. That'll be 97. In case something happens to him, staying nearby. Yeah, I've recently been through that myself, and until my dad passed away. So Tim says, oh, let me go back to what Linda said, so I know what he's referring to. Okay, she asked, Tim, have you ever stayed a week at a time? And that goes back to, especially if you're staying somewhere on BLM land, where you can stay for 2 weeks and then move 25 miles, stay there 2 weeks, and then move back if you want where you were. You could just do a thing where you're going back and forth and being able to use basically the same resources from each camping spot, but you can go back and forth if you want. If you want to stay within the established rules, BLM rules for the 14-day limit. So then Tim says, I could, Linda. I stayed at Maryberry for 4 days. I was a bit restless. That's my problem, Mo. It's very difficult for me, once. Now I can stay in an area if there's plenty for me to explore, but once I've really explored what's there, I have to go and find someplace else to explore, because I do get restless. So Mo, this is Tim, says he lived on an isolated island for 9 months in a hut that he built himself at 15 years old. Now, that's an interesting little bit of information there, Tim. I'd like to know more about that. I've lived like a savage. Cat says you have to have a budget, or you have to budget like crazy. So here's my conundrum with, I mean, don't you have a budget most of the time at home? I know Kathleen's situation is a bit different when your job involves you living where you're working. You generally don't have to pay rental expenses or any of that, but if you do, you're on a budget. If you're paying a mortgage, you're on a budget. But switching from like selling your house, like Susan and Jim are doing, to giving up rent, like I'll be doing, to me, the calculations come out a plus for me. And I've already proven the concept with the 8 months that I've already been on the road before the pandemic. So it was fairly, I came back with a substantially bigger savings account, and was able, when the pandemic started, I was easily able to jump back into a lease and get this apartment. And hi, D. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the chat. I know. I'm just trying to have this discussion. But hello, I'm glad to see you here. Welcome you to come up on the panel here in a minute. I'm going to open it up. If you're living a nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyle, I want you to come on up and talk about it if you can. And I'll open up that link in just a minute. Please only come up at least at the beginning if you're a nomad or semi-nomadic, or thinking about going nomadic. Like I'm not just thinking about it, I'm going to be doing it, but I've been investigating it for a long time. And so also you have to consider what's going to be your domicile location. I'm already a resident of Texas, so I have friends here. I don't have any family here anymore, but I have friends here where I can mooch base here. I call it mooch base. So it's basically home base, but it's not my home. I'll be staying with friends when I'm here in Texas. But where you're going to get your mail, what's the address and state information going to be on your driver's license? What are you going to do about insurance? How does insurance affect the way that you want to live your life? Do you need RV insurance? You have to take all that in consideration when you're living a nomadic lifestyle, especially if you're going into it or you're in it for the foreseeable future and don't really have an end date. I mean, for me, I'm gonna have an open-ended situation. Once I move an apartment, I'll live, I don't want to say permanent because nothing's permanent when you get right down to it, but I'm going to be going into it with no end date in mind. I'm going into it with a sense of adventure, the ability to explore while I still can, while I'm still young enough to do so. And the bottom line is saving money in my bank account. That's the main thing. I don't say the main thing. Those are the main things for me. Susan says we're moving every 2 weeks. Yeah, I can understand on the panic attack thing, because I get restless, and that's one thing I'm going to try to do, even though I don't necessarily have to in my situation. I'm going to try to train myself to stay in places longer, not really to, because I need to save money, but because I want to kind of slow down and try to take in things that I miss, activities that I might find challenging for myself, or whatever, and maybe try those things and find ways to stay in places longer. And I'm going to start that right off the bat in Arizona. So we'll see how that goes. Um, yeah, Tim makes a good point. Now, there's two things you can't predict about a nomadic lifestyle, whether you do it in a car like I will be starting out doing, whether you do it in a van like Tim does. Um, and Tim's semi-nomadic and has sticks and bricks as well, and that's great if you can do both. I choose not to. I could, but I choose not to. I'm gonna go full time and give up the sticks and bricks for now. But there's two unexpected costs. So there's the unexpected costs in fuel, and we all love it when the fuel price goes down, which is unexpected, but we save when that happens. But when it goes up, and depending on where you're at and it goes up, it can take a significant bite out of your budget. And so while I'm talking about gas prices, if you would, type in the chat what your what your location is and how much the gas price is there. And I know I'm going right into the to the thick of it, leaving here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where gas prices are usually some of the most reasonable gas prices in the U.S. And I'm going right into the heart of the gas price beast when I leave here headed west, and especially when I get to California. And I'm thinking, and I always do this when I go out that way. I'm like, I got to fill up while the gas price is low. That's only good one time, because by the time I go 600 miles west, it's starting to get expensive, and the idea of saving money that way goes right out the window. And the idea of staying in one place longer really starts working on your mind, in order to save fuel, and especially you'll want to that'll happen if you're on a budget. So welcome, Ford Man Kenneth Oaks. Welcome, sir. Okay, and Kat says you still need to resupply with food. Okay, here's a consideration that I've taken into consideration. I buy food at home, and I buy water for drinking here at home. I don't do the tap water thing anymore if I can help it. That's not going to change on the road. As a matter of fact, I've already done this for an 8-month trial run, and I was saving. I was buying less of the stuff that I usually need for resupply. For me, it's like I'll pay for that stuff here in Sticks and Bricks, or I'll pay for it in the car. It doesn't make any difference. Unfortunately, I'm a big fast food addict, or I usually don't cook a whole lot at home. It's easy enough for me to just pop out in the car and go get something that's already made, and I don't have to fuss with it. Don't have any dishes or any of that. And that'll change, and it has changed for me living on the road. So I tend to cook more when I camp than I do when I'm at my home, because I don't know, something about cooking and camping that goes together for me. So Box Van D says if your rig breaks down, you won't be homeless. You just can't go anywhere. And that's true in most cases. But if it breaks down, that breakdown could end up being the end of your vehicle potentially. And that's another reason why you want to try to stay in places for as long, as long as you can, because that reduces wear and tear on your vehicle, and the potential for it to break down and need possibly expensive repairs. And if you have to put it in a shop, it's automatically expensive by most people's standards, because that's something that you wouldn't have to do if it's parked most of the time in a driveway and you're popping out to the grocery store, run errands or whatever. But if you're using that vehicle as your main living quarters and your transportation quarters, there's going to be some wear and tear. You're going to have to change oil more often. You're going to have to do all that stuff. I don't have to tell all y'all about car and vehicle maintenance. Y'all already know about that. But when you're actually living in it, and for me, it's going to be a nomadic type lifestyle. In other words, I'm not planning on staying in the same place for months on end. Maybe, I might make it the 2-week limit on BLM land, for example, but I'm going to be traveling around. It's Ron Sees America. Whoops, it's so weird. Ron Sees America, not Ron Sits in America. Tim asks, have you ever slept in a tent at night in the city? The riffraff will come and rob you blind at night. Yeah, because, there are people out there that will victimize you, especially if you end up staying in a tent in the part of town where you can get away with it. That has the potential to happen. So you got to keep that in mind. It's not something I would do. And Red says this is why she's staying where she's staying for now. And I think are you staying at your Gladys's? Where are you staying right now there, Red? I know you're in a home. With the America the Beautiful Pass, and this is from Susan, you can camp at national parks half price. I did not know that, but I do have the pass. And that's a big reason why I'm looking really forward to heading out west, because I already had the pass, the free I can get into national parks and that have entry fees. I can get in those for free with that card. But I didn't know about the camping being high price, so that's good to keep in consideration. Kathleen Klein says, I travel to see the country, and all that's in it, staying still for more than a day or two, doesn't fit my wants. Absolutely, Kathleen. Now, for me, I can, and I don't even think about really moving on if I'm at a meetup. So I was able to stay, at Maryberry. That was a short meetup. That was potentially a good time limit for me, wherever I'd be anywhere, whether I'm by myself or at a meetup or whatever, that few days. But it was longer at Mayberry, a little bit longer. And I wouldn't mind staying and hanging out with the folks that I meet up with at those meetups, for a week. It wouldn't bother me a bit, because we always have so much going on and so much, so much community togetherness that we enjoy when we do that. It really doesn't get old very fast for me. To be hanging out, especially hanging out with the people that I've already met and the people in this community, which hasn't it's always been nice for me. And Mayberry was my last meetup in Mount Airy, North Carolina, and I think that was my 9th one since I started investigating this lifestyle. And I started thinking about it in 2015, but I started really getting into studying and investigating the possibilities of doing it in 2016. And so I've been in about 9 since then. and I may be missing a couple of smaller, I'm meeting somebody like I rode to Amtrak with Nick P, where it was just me and meeting up somebody else like that. But 9 significant events that I've been to since then, and 3 of those were RTRs, which is huge. Susan says, we spend money and eat more when we are stuck in one place too long. Yeah. You start having time to think about spending money that you normally wouldn't be spending. And if you were moving around and thinking about, keep your mind full of the other things that you have to consider, and just sightseeing, can keep your mind off of spending money that you otherwise would not spend. And I have to agree with the Amazon Prime thing there. Red says, when I find a nice spot, I like to stay. I like to stay in. I want to stay at Klamath next year for a month, perhaps. Yeah, you enjoyed the Klamath thing. I saw your dispatches from there, and you were there right before the Oregon meetup. So, and I could tell you really were enjoying yourself and finding the solitude if you needed it. There, enjoying the nature, and the scenery there was fantastic. I'm gonna jump to the bottom of the chat here and try to see if there's anybody that I've missed coming in. Hey, Troy, account maintenance guy, how you doing? Red says, yes, Gladys is a very good friend and helps her with, helps her monetarily for staying there. Met her when she was doing Airbnb in Georgia, when she rented a room for me. Now I rent a room from her. Also, she also has another tenant here. So, in the interest of full disclosure, when the beginning of the year starts is when I plan to start the full-time nomadic lifestyle. Part of January, I'm also going to be in Airbnb for about a week, and I'm gonna base out of there to do some national park stuff, Zion National Park, etc. I'm just kind of it sounds kind of weird that I'd be kind of celebrating and rewarding myself for making this move by going from a sticks and bricks apartment lease to going to a sticks and bricks Airbnb. But what the heck? That's what I'm going to do anyway. So I'm going to I'm going to be doing the Airbnb thing for about a week in Arizona before the meetups really get going out there. I was going to say heating up, but Arizona does enough of that in the summertime. Meg W, welcome in the house. Thank you for coming. So if you are living a nomadic lifestyle and want to come up and share your story or your tips or whatever, I'm going to put the link up for you. And please, only, at least for right now, come up if you're living a nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyle. Want to come up, Susan, Paula, if you want to come on up to talk about what your plans, how your plans are developing for your budget. Tim, come up if you can. Dreams come up if you can. Here's the link. And I'm going to pin that over here on the YouTube. Amy, I have an idea for you, Ron. In all your new spots, you need to take a picture, hold it. There's a pineapple thing again. And Amy's informed me that she has something for me in her next video next week. I'm a bit, I suspect that it might have something to do with pineapples. And don't forget to have pineapples in all. When you make fruit salad, every fruit salad is better with pineapple in it. Cube it up, chunk it up, however you want it. Tim, I'm ready for van life full time with no hesitation. I come home because she still allows me to. Yeah, I was thinking as I read that, Tim, as I saw that comment, that your wife wouldn't like it too much if you were full time nomad. Would she? You might, but would she? You can travel around mooching from my Mobies. I'm a Moby. Are you a Moby? If you want to be a Moby too, head on over to Tim's and subscribe and ring that bell, and you will be a Moby too. And by the way, let's keep having little nicknames. For those of you who are regulars to my channel, you are now called Ron's Riders. You're riding along with me as you see America and I see America. So welcome, Ron's Riders. Linda says, long you're gone, the more happy they'll. Oh, hello, Miss D.
Hello, Ron.
How are you
How
doing?
are you doing? I'm doing great.
I am too. World's looking a little better. Never mind the gas prices, but we're getting a little more freedom, and I'm able to get back to the 1 year trial I was trying when it was cut off at about 8 months by the situation. Only this time when I go back, it's with a permanent, nothing permanent, but as permanent as it can be in my mind right now. Instead of having a trial run, with the 8 months that I did was sufficient in my mind to satisfy my interest in the nomadic lifestyle and whether I can do it or not. So I'm going to be going back, and it's going to be Ron Sees America.
Yep.
How you doing, Miss D? Tell me about your story.
I'm doing good. Well, I've been very busy. Hang on. I just realized I was on the YouTube side.
Yeah.
Couldn't see myself.
I did it too. And I'm the host.
I get confused all the time. I'm old.
Oh. So
why don't you move the mail to unpin the comment there, then people can see you. There we go.
So tell me, I know you got a spot in Quartzsite.
Yes.
You found that it was best for yourself to have a home base. I don't know how much traveling you're able to do, but tell us about your experience.
Well,
and we're gonna add Travis. Let me do this right here. We're gonna add Travis.
Hi, Travis.
Hello, Ron. Hey.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? We're just asking Dee about her experience with expenses living when she was living a nomadic lifestyle, which she's based up now. But
well, what you have to understand, yes, I'm still living a nomadic lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
I live in my box van.
Mm-hmm.
It's still nomadic, and I go out away from here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a nomadic lifestyle. Only difference is instead of spending $200 on gas, I spend $200 on the RV space, so I can have a place to park if I need to, because I don't live around friends. I don't live around family. Mm-hmm. Have nowhere to go.
Right.
If I need, everybody needs a place to go.
Right.
And I'm getting old. So with my eyes and my health,
we all are.
Although I'm really in pretty good health. I mean, as far as my health goes, I've been blessed. But my eyes are not good, and I physically can't do what I used to do. I can't build, and I still do it, but I can't do what I did before. So I do need a home base. Everybody I know is from YouTube is somewhere else. I'm still alone all the time.
Right.
I don't get to camp with people very often anymore.
Right.
I never did, really. But I like it. But if I had a caravan like a lot of people do. With people that are with me all the time, I could travel more. But when I'm completely alone, if I break down on the road, who's going to help me? As nomads, you need to have a family, a nomad family.
Well, you can
And I do
consider
have a
me part of
nomad
that
family, but it's all virtual.
Mhm. Well,
What
you
I'm
can
saying
consider
is
me part of that
all my
family
nomad family.
once I hit the road. You can call me if you
Yeah.
break down. I'll do what I can to help.
Yeah. Well, I do have friends. I mean, I have a lot of people I could call. And you know, A to Z Outdoors is
Yep.
not that far from me.
Yep.
And he would come and help me in a flash like that.
Right.
Then I have other friends, but they're mostly far away. And I never know who. I can't remember where people are. I can't remember the simple things I should be able to remember. I never know who I could call.
Right. Well, put me
okay,
down on paper
somebody
if
asked
you
me
can,
what that.
and call me if you have
I
any
will.
problems, and I'll try to do that. If I can't be right there, I'll try to find somebody that can, and Dan sure will too.
Here's what I can do as a nomad, but I also have a YouTube channel. All I have to do is, if I need somebody, I could get on a live stream and say, this is my situation. Is anybody around here that can help me out?
Absolutely.
I know people would come. I have no doubt, because I have a lot of good friends on YouTube. And that's what I have established as a nomad on YouTube, as a family. So that's
nice.
So
Hey,
I
Travis,
do think a home base is important.
let's ask Travis about now. He and his wife, you know, are, and I'm assuming she's there with you. Maybe that's bad.
Yeah, she's here too.
So, y'all have been out on the road, and I don't know how long y'all are on the road exactly, but y'all know what the costs are, because you've taken that into consideration. You've gone back home to Houston. You're closing up your sticks and bricks, and you're about to take your family on the road full time. So tell me a little bit about your experience with finances, breakdowns, emergency expenses. As Kat says, her being a Timite, and one of those gets under your skin, you might need a doctor, because they burrow in deep, according to her.
You know, you just pour alcohol on those Timites and they calm down real quick.
So tell me about
your
experience there, Travis, and how you finance lifestyle. You don't have to really go into a lot of detail there, but
yeah,
give us a little bit of background on that if you don't mind.
Well, since I work remotely, I was able to be working while we were on the road. And we were out there solid for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did have to deal with a bunch of the emergency stuff while we were on the road, repairs and stuff, because we had some issues that I was not able to fix before we left. But we were mobile enough to be like, you know what, we weren't holding up anymore. We missed last year going out and meeting Dee and the rest of them because of the way the time frame went. And we were like, oh, we can't make it. We didn't have the rig ready enough. And we were like, this year, we're not holding back. So we went out. You know, we went out, worked on fixing the repairs and making repairs while we were out on the road, which all in all, I think the repairs items that we actually had to fix while we were out on the road run me about $1,100 for those parts, but they were all things that need to get taken care of anyway. You know, just for pure and simple, it's a vehicle and it's a home and everything. But as far as the actual cost of us being out during that 3 months was higher than like what the cost of us going to be going out this time during a 3-month period will possibly be. Because we were trying to cram as many meetups in as many different places as we could into that point.
Yeah,
you know,
we for most of it, so I understand.
Yeah, I mean, we
did a lot of traveling since we've been here.
Yeah, we did about 8,000 miles. We did about 8,000 miles in that 3 months.
Wow.
You know,
and 37-foot RV, y'all.
Yeah, and a lot of that was because, you know, we came from Houston, cut over to Alabama to see through my mom. Went up through Tennessee, Kentucky, seeing the kids, and then before we headed up to Amana, Iowa, and then once we got done at that one, we went back to Louisville. Then we went out to Branson, back to Louisville. Then we went up to Michigan, did all of that, and then cut down. If we weren't trying to see the family that we were also trying to fit in at the same time and had just gone from meetup to meetup, it'd have been a whole lot different because we wouldn't have been the back and forth from one to the next. Because going from Amana to Branson was not far at all.
Right.
That was half the travel of actually getting all the way back to Louisville.
Right.
Just to go to there. So I mean, if we had stayed longer either in Amana or just stayed longer in Branson, then it would have been cheaper on us in the long run versus the way we did it. Because then once you're staying longer, it would have become the better discounts, for staying at some of the places. And for us, the hard part is because we don't have solar yet,
right.
and our generator, it's running off the gas that everything else runs off of. So we are limited to how long we can boondock, which we boondocked for a couple days at a time here and there.
Right.
So we pretty much, when we had to be somewhere, we had to have full hookups, which is also a higher cost.
Right, exactly. So far, for the last 5 years, I really moved every 2 weeks, literally, except when the year that I had all the health problems. That year I stayed in one place, one campground, but it's still off-grid. I had no amenities. I should say no utilities. Only the last few months I've been here in Quartzsite because I needed electricity for the summer because they had the fires and the pandemic and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't travel. So, but I still have been camping off-grid off and on. And I will be doing a lot of that in the next month or two. Only when I'm going to keep this place just so I have the place to come back to. The answer to that question, what does that include? $200 includes bathrooms here, showers, laundry facility, trash, and they have a little clubhouse if you want to go up there. I never do, but and then I pay my electricity separate.
And if you have time or if you're able to shop for a place with a deal like Dee's got and it has all those amenities, that's a very good deal. And I'm very happy with it, Dee.
Well, I would spend that the John Gas, literally moving every 2 weeks.
Right.
Because even though I only had to travel 25 miles, to find a good space to camp is usually more than 25 miles, believe me.
Right.
I would have to go 300 or 400, about 300 miles up to Flagstaff in the summer. And then travel all over that area. So, yeah, I did see Timmy's message there.
Travis?
I don't have his phone number, but I do have his email, I think.
He'll get it to you then. Travis?
That's another thing. I don't have anybody's phone numbers. So they send me emails, but I have no way to contact them. So,
Travis, you want to say?
Yeah, it's like, when I was living in my rig for, the year and a half I did before and I had ever met, I was doing the same thing. I was staying at places. The places I was picking were $300 for the month, or $400 for the month.
Right.
In Indiana, places that I was staying at were about $425, $450 a month with everything included, including my electricity. And then when I got down to the Florida area, the places that I was picking were $300 a month. Electricity was extra, but my electricity never ran more than $150 for the month. So I was still within that same $450 for the month. And, most of the places where I was staying at, like in Florida, I was like down the center of Florida to where I was basically hour and a half to 2 hours from one side, hour and a half to 2 hours to the other side of Florida. So no matter which way I wanted to go, whether I wanted, whichever part of the ocean I wanted, I could hit it and see everything else at the same time. But, if you look, you can find the cheaper places, but it's the best thing is, if you're not hurrying to get to everywhere, is take your time everywhere you're going to be and really spread out that stay. You know, that's like some of the places that we stayed at on this trip that we were on were $250 to $300 for the week. But if we were to stay there for the whole month, it was only like $600.
Right. Well, one thing is, you know, a lot of nomads really do have low income. A lot of nomads I know are up in their years. They're on Social Security. I lived on $800 a month. I put out $600 a month, more than that, on my previous bills I had accumulated before I started this journey. So I had no money to pay for space rent like I do now. Now all my bills are paid off. As a nomad, I was able to pay off all my bills.
That's a key component.
So I'm not in debt anymore. Right.
Yeah, and Linda asks, you've been traveling. Is there any place you still want to see? And I don't believe you've been traveling all your life, but if you don't mind,
I have.
That. Oh, you have? Okay.
Oh yeah, since infancy.
Okay.
I was born in Washington D.C.
Uh-huh. That's a small place to have to be that you happen to have.
But we moved. I grew up never living in one place for a year in my life, ever.
Wow.
I never stayed for a full year anywhere I lived. So I've been a nomad all my life. Mm-hmm. When I was about 7 years old, we started working in the fields. So we traveled every 2 weeks to go to the next crop or the next farm that they had crops. Or, you know, in the winter, we stayed in a house at times, but never for more than a few months. So I went to 17 schools in my junior year of high school in 9 months.
So the question is there some place that you still want to see?
I would love to go back and see a lot of places I saw as a kid, because when I was a kid, I don't remember all those places. Right. I would love to go to see. Actually, I would love to go to every national park, because I love the national parks, but I can't travel that much anymore. I just can't do it.
Right. I've just started working on that goal myself.
But I still have a lot of places, even here in Arizona, I want to go see. So that's local. And now that I have a car, because I didn't have a car, I had to take my home everywhere.
Right.
Now that I have a car, I can do like short overnight trips or something like that.
Right. So Travis, one of the things that your family and you have in common with with me and this, you guys aren't considerate. I made the decision. Y'all made the decision. Is because we have a digital income. We have an income from our remote jobs, and so it makes it easy for us to still continue to work and earn our income while we're living the life. Oops, we lost him.
You just lost him. Wow. I have a digital income too, because I do make about $400 a month on YouTube. But nice. It's 24/7. It's constantly. Look who's here.
We lost Travis for him, and I'm sure he'll be back when he can. But welcome to Ron Darrell. Hello, Ron. Nice to see you, sir.
Oops, wrong button.
Oh.
So before I get to Red and
stay down there in the basement.
Before you continue, Ron, before I get to Red, I was asking you, or actually just making the statement that for y'all and for you to support y'all's lifestyle, and for me to support mine, we both have. We're basically digital nomads. We can work online and get the signal. So
right.
That
right.
That played a main that was a main player in your decision making process, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, being able to work remotely, you know, that was the biggest thing that's, you know, allowed us to go from being a sometimers to being the partial time like we were, to then just being able to decide to go ahead and go full time. Because now it's that, even though I'm working on trying to find something different than the work that I'm doing to get even a little bit more freedom in my scheduling, it's still that, it's something that's available. And because of already working remotely, we know that there's other things out there, there's other positions, other jobs that, it just may have to be a trial and error trying with the different companies to, get something that truly fits the full way that we want to do our full time. But absolutely having that ability to do that is what's helped us, until, and everything that we're doing. And, with her trying to build up her, side of her crafting stuff and doing the services that she's able to do and the things that she knows how to, with all the merchandise type stuff that, trying to build all that up at the same time, to where I've already told her, I said, shoot, I'd love it if we could just build you up enough to where I just help you with the presetting of the stuff. And shoot, if that's all we do all day long, that's all we do. We're going to make shirts all day. We're going to make mugs all day. Sure, let's go for it. Whatever.
So, if you want mugs or T-shirts or whatever with your channel branding logo, whatever you want on there, I can make that happen. Travis, before I get to Ron and Red, what tips do you have as far as so somebody out there would live this lifestyle, would at least trial it if they had a sort of online job like we have? What do you suggest they look for?
The biggest thing is, if your dream is to be a nomad of some sort, whether it's full-time, part-time, whatever it may be, you need to take whatever steps you need to. Whether it's securing some kind of job that's going to give you the flexibility that fits that schedule that you want to do, or, finding, a remote type work job. There's plenty of them out there. You can look through between Indeed, LinkedIn, everything out there to help you find those positions. Right. To get you to where you have that ability. And the only biggest deal with a lot of those is, to start out while you're in the home base to secure it. Right. And then once you're able to, you just have to have a cell service and just make sure that wherever you're at, you're going to have a cell service. So even before you have a vehicle, you need to make sure that you've got some kind of cellular device that's going to maintain that signal that you need, whether it be a booster or a hotspot, whatever it may be for you. You got to find it and you got to figure it out. And that's the first thing that you got to get. After that, go with whatever vehicle you have to begin with. If it's just an SUV, a minivan, a car, whatever, go out on some smaller trips to start out with. If you have nothing at all right now, go out and see if you're even going to like being out away from your home, to then be able to figure out what is it you're able to live without, to then figure out what kind of rig you have to build yourself to.
That's right. Good advice, Travis. Very good advice. I mean, you shouldn't jump into anything in life, but also don't wait too long. So I would say test it out. Test the waters. Get out there for a weekend, then a week, then try 2 weeks and see what you think. And think about what you need to do that and prepare in advance for that. But you can never be completely prepared. As you get out there, Tim will tell you, as you do it, you're learning every time you go. You will learn what you need.
That's what I did. I learned as I went.
Yep.
Kathleen makes a good point. A friend just sent me a saying: no matter how long you've traveled in the wrong direction, you can always turn around. That applies to this feeling that you might have that, boy, I just want to do that, but I don't know how, or I'm scared, or I don't know if it's going to work out. If you feel like you're going in the wrong direction in life, you can turn around. You can make that next turn. Yeah. Try it. Give it a shot. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to, it may even save your life in some cases. So you can always turn around.
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You'll learn from them.
Absolutely.
Don't be
Yeah,
afraid.
I'll just
You
do it.
know, everything,
71.
every
Afraid,
day changes.
do it anyways, like me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I did. I was afraid. And I just,
Everything is changing every
Anyway.
single day of our lives.
Let
So
me
we just adapt.
let me talk to Ron. Hey, Ron D, how you doing?
Oh, doing fine.
I know you've been based out of Waco, and I know you're about to, I believe you're about to go full time. So tell us a little bit about your situation there.
Well, I've been full time for about 4 years. I
Yeah.
just do it a little bit different. I'm sort of like D. I found a place I can lease, and I pay $3,600 a year, and that's water and electricity.
Wow.
I've got a 28-foot travel trailer sitting on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I decide I want to go someplace, I've got a cab over camper and a little small
Yeah.
motorcycle that goes on the back of it. So
Mm-hmm.
I can pretty well do what I
Yep.
want to do. And
Right.
that $3,600 is not as much as I paid on taxes on my property before I started this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I put money in the bank every year. I mean, every month.
Mm-hmm. And that's it too. This lifestyle, for the most part, the decision to do it, usually somewhere in that decision making process, is the potential to save money or to be able to work your budget, or will support you a little bit easier. Like if you're on Social Security, as D says. Red, I know you're in a big old Class C RV.
not
How's
right
that
now.
going?
Not at the moment.
Excuse me.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
At the moment, you're
Sucker's almost as big as my rig.
but
I'm in
right
a
now
house.
you're staying with
Well,
your
don't-
friend Gladys, and just kind of basing up for a little bit. But
Yeah, but I did it for a whole year. And my story is so when I separated from my husband, I was a stay-at-home mom for 30 years. So I didn't have any like work experience from until when I was like 20 years old when I first got married. I got married at 19. So I couldn't find a regular job. So I did Airbnb. And that is how I met Gladys. So that was kind of cool.
uh-huh.
And then when I stopped doing Airbnb and I really wanted to move out of Georgia, I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go because I had family in California. Most of my kids were still in Georgia at that time. And then I started forming this plan. So I started downsizing in December 2019. And then I sold my house. I had debt, so my credit was shot. So I couldn't do like I like to watch story chasing. Like she was able to move her stuff from her house into her RV. I couldn't
You
do
and
that.
I often bumped into each other in there, in her chats and her live stream. Yep. Amber.
Yeah, and so I had to sell my house because my credit was messed up from my divorce and all that, and I was in debt. And so, but my house was paid for because we bought the house. My ex built a bigger house, so he kept that house and he gave me the smaller house. And so since he got it paid off, and then he signed it over to me, and so a technicality that happened is my house got infested with rats, which was
but the
kind of-
proceeds from that sale is basically helping you for now in your
I
well,
paid
you're
cash
basically-
for my RV,
right.
but I couldn't take the stuff from my house and put it into my RV because I had to get the cash from my house. So I came up here and found my RV. I came up here to Gladys's. I left Georgia, but I fit everything I wanted to keep into my car. So I feel like I'm a specialist at downsizing if anybody needed help
Right.
with that.
Yeah,
So,
me too. Every time I downsize, I have less room.
I hear
Yeah,
you.
you have to
Right?
keep doing it when you have a small space, you know?
Yeah.
I swear it grows.
Yeah.
It's because when you downsize, you find new ways to organize, and then you fill in those new empty voids.
You sure do.
Apparently.
So Ron,
Really, I haven't bought anything new, but I just I've gotten rid of a ton of stuff, but I'll tell you what it is for me. I'd like to have easy access. I don't want to have to dig through boxes or containers or things to find everything I need. I don't have the energy to do that. So I have to have easy access. So everything is crowded because I have to have it easy to get to.
Right.
So
no matter how much I get rid of.
Sometimes I feel like I spend half my lifetime just looking for stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been
Well, I can't do
downsizing
that
because
anymore.
of that. So Ron,
I did for a while.
Right, Ron, we're talking about financing this lifestyle, and you can tell us a little bit about that if you want. If how do you finance it? Are you retired or what's going on there?
I've got a little bit of property I rent out, and I'm 100% disabled from the military.
So there, as you can hear, just right here in this group, if you're facing challenges, Red was facing the fallout from a divorce, and she decided to make that move at that time. Ron's on military disability and owns property and is drawing income from that, which gives him the opportunity. So you can take these situations that are going on in your life, and if you're here, so you're obviously interested in the topic. If you're interested in doing it, you can take, what sometimes is negative situations.
Absolutely.
Like, becoming disabled in the military or becoming divorced or, maybe you just need to turn the page in your life because you're not happy with the way things are going. You can find ways to do this lifestyle, and it can turn your life around in some ways. It can be a therapy of sorts in other ways. And like for I know from hanging out with Travis and I that they just love the lifestyle. They gave it a try. They found a way to be able to afford it. They take the risks that they need to take. With the possibility of breakdowns and unexpected expenses.
I can talk to you about that too.
I give them a lot of credit because they do it with kids.
Yeah.
Okay. I did it without kids. Of course, I was getting out of a bad situation. I didn't have any money. I had nothing. So I moved into my car. But I started out in the car and I learned how to budget on that little bit of money to be able to stick around in one place for 2 weeks at a time. I'd still traveled at first, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to learn to budget your money. But you can turn any bad situation into a positive. And you just have to love it. You have to be a nomad, you have to love outdoor. You have to love outdoors.
Travis, do you agree? Do you and I agree with that comment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is nobody's dreams have ever in their life come without some kind of risk.
Right.
There's always going to be some kind of risk involved with chasing your dreams, no matter what they are. And that's why one of the biggest things for us is to follow your dreams, no matter what it is. You just take whatever steps is necessary, no matter how small the step. Just make that forward progress. Just keep that one foot in front of the other. You're going to come into obstacles that some days it's going to make you go, is this really what I want to do? But just breathe. Just breathe. Think about it, because the thing is, it's the nomad lifestyle. It's not for everybody. And not everybody's built out for this.
Right.
But if it's what you want to do, and it brings you, and in the majority of the time, if it brings you peace of mind, stress-free, and enjoyment and getting you out there and seeing different places, you don't have to travel the whole country to be a nomad. You could stay in one state your entire life and be a nomad and continuously see new stuff all the time. There's just so much stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You don't have to travel big, huge hundreds of miles.
D, say that.
You don't have to travel hundreds of miles.
Say that again, D.
I said, come to Arizona. I've been in
Yep.
Arizona
Oh.
for 5 years. I haven't seen everything I want to see.
Yeah, I was about to say,
He goes down to
out
Mexico
west,
a lot,
there's
though.
so
I
much to
noticed.
see. There's so
Yeah,
much
I've gone
see
to
out west.
Mexico. I've gone to Washington, Oregon, and California since I've been a nomad.
And sometimes
But
the challenges that you run into in the lifestyle are not of your own making or your own
no,
a life, because you know, a lot of times there's things like wildfires or smoke or
Yeah.
things that you
Hail.
Yeah.
run away
I had hail
from.
damage when I was at my
and-
son
but
in
what
Denver.
doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
Right. See, I
Absolutely.
love that saying.
I'll
And
tell you,
Absolutely.
the nomadic lifestyle is if you're stuck in a plume of smoke that's carried in on the air currents from 500 miles away or whatever, you can just drive away and drive to an area that's not smoky.
That's right.
You know,
Ooh.
there's always ways that especially if you can move to deal with things like that. So don't let things like the possibility of things like that happening keep you from trying as well to
No.
live
And
that.
I've seen people that break down and live in a tent, nomadic, and then people around them get them to the store or
Yeah.
things like that. There's always a way.
Mhm.
Always a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, you got to think about it. How many of us have to carry insurances on our houses and everything else because things happen, tornadoes happen, earthquakes happen. You know, there's always that chance that something may happen to your house, the flooding, whatever. You know, when you think of places, you know, like with the damages that Irma did and Harvey and all the rest of them have done between Texas and Louisiana and everything, and people in sticks and bricks lost everything. And then you think again here recently with the flooding, the mass flooding that happened in Tennessee, and the folks that lost all the motorhomes and stuff because they're right there. It happens, you know, that risk of your home being destroyed will always be there, whether you're nomadic or sticks in a brick. So don't let that be the thought that stops you from possibly doing something
And
that may change your entire life.
even if your rig breaks down, think about it. In a house, you have maintenance. Air conditioner broke, the water
Exactly.
heater broke. You have to replace the roof. Same thing with a car
Right.
or a vehicle. You have to maintain that vehicle. Everything costs money. Nothing's free.
Yeah.
You just have to plan
Yeah.
for it and hope you have it able.
Well, that's what
I'll
I've
tell you
done. Go ahead,
Whoops,
Ron.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll tell you, one, I try to tell people that talk about going this lifestyle. People seem to think that they got to sell everything and jump in 100%. Well, that's not true. You can
No.
pull time for short periods of times if you like it. You can do that out of a car with a tent.
Yep.
I do a lot of camping off my motorcycle,
Mhm.
and you know, there's just all kind of ways to do it. And you might want to do it a week at a time to start with, and then go to a month at a time, and then maybe go to 6 months. And by then, you know what you're looking at.
Right.
And the way I got into
Go ahead,
this,
Ron.
I got to pull in RVs and delivering them all over the United States. So I got a chance to look at a lot of stuff that I wanted to go back to.
Right.
But then my wife became ill, and I took care of her several years. And after she passed away, this just fit my lifestyle perfect. I didn't want a big house. I didn't want all that crap, you know. So people just need to learn that you just don't have to do this thing all the way at one time.
That's right.
So, Travis, I was gonna, so you have not just you and your wife, and you're in a situation where you're retired or whatever, and an empty nest. You're taking your family with you. So for anybody out there that's saying, "But I have a family, and I got." Talk a little bit about how you do it with your family on along for the ride. And by the way, a beautiful family it is too. And kids really starting to come. I know Diana's really in with both feet. Looks to me like Kenai's doing the same, is coming around with the whole idea.
Oh yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, when we first were starting out, when I first started and originally had approached I with the thought of doing it, she was like, no, there's no way, there's no how I could do that yet, especially because of the kids. I don't want to take the kids out and doing all that. I don't know how they would handle being in the tiny space. And then, so when we started that journey this summer, that was supposed to be just a temporary thing. And then during breaks and everything else, we would go out on different, we would go out for a week or weekends here, weekends there. That was how it was supposed to originally be. And then with just in a couple days of being out on the road, she was like, no, you know what? I want to do this all the time. Let's do this. Let's not wait till the kids get out of school to do this full time or try to do this full time. I want to go ahead and start figuring this out. They're already virtual learning anyway. And then, as we progressed, at first, when we were like at Amana, it was like pulling teeth to get them to come outside and socialize, but as our trip progressed and they got to see more places and interact with more people that, were in this lifestyle as well, they started coming out more and more and more and more, to where a lot of people that saw them from the beginning to then seeing them at the end, they were coming out on their own.
Right.
They were hanging out with other people on their own.
Yeah. Listen, Ron,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm going to step down so you can bring somebody else up. Okay? So I see other people
coming up.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming up and talking about your experience with financing your van life. I mean, you're a box fan, but thank you for coming up. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye. Bye.
So Red, we know the situation, how you got into ended up in the RV, and there for a while you were traveling constantly. So and I know you had some breakdowns. Can you talk a little bit about that? Living in the RV and the breakdowns that you had are unexpected, and about the expenses.
Some things were my fault. Some things were my fault, and some things were not. And also, I went to see family first. I left here at this time last year for Thanksgiving and went to see my son Ian in Denver. And then I went through Moab. I went to Arches National Park and then went to see my niece who was in Flagstaff at that time. She's since moved. And then I went to my brother's in Santa Clarita, and something that sort of just worked out and really seemed, I don't know, providential, I guess, is my sister-in-law was in the end stages of breast cancer when I got to California. And it was the holidays, and I got to spend her last Christmas with her, and she passed in January.
Aww.
Yeah, I remember seeing your videos and even hanging out with you right after all that.
Yeah. You've been there every time. Everywhere I go, Ron's there. Appreciate you.
Who's stalking who?
Ron's that nomad stalker.
Oh, and what was so funny is, so I was so busy with that. I was in Southern California, and I was so busy with that. I was helping to take care of my sister-in-law and stuff. And she even went to some treatments in December. I took her to, and I was driving her car around, and I was living in my RV on my brother's property on his smaller house's ranch, and driving her car back and forth and driving her to treatments and stuff and cooking for them and all that for a month, till January. And then in February, I flew back here actually because I felt like my brother was okay by that time, by February. And I flew back and was here in Illinois and left my RV in California. And I was babysitting Gladys's dog Blue for a month. And then I went back to California And I never had met like Tim. Like Tim was right near me. And also in January, I had thought of going to courtside in January of this year, but my sister-in-law had just passed away, so it wasn't really good timing. And we were having her memorial and all of that. And so I didn't go because it's like from Los Angeles, where Tim is, and I didn't meet Tim. And then I met Tim up at Alsea Falls, where I first met Ron too, at the Alsea Falls meetup. So that was kind of funny because I was in California for so long, and then I met all these people that were in California up in Oregon.
Isn't that where your awning, you had the
Yeah.
awning situation develop?
The first thing that broke though is I clipped the end. Tim called me the kleptomaniac. I was so excited to go to Denver. So I get so excited, and that's like when I was ready to go off in my RV, I fell and broke my kneecap. And so this time I was in Kansas and I was heading to Denver to see my son for Thanksgiving. And I was so excited, and I pull out of the gas station, and I'm not used to how long my RV is. And I turned too soon and I bent my bumper and I wrecked my bumper. My brother's mechanic in California fixed that for me and got me a whole new bumper and replaced the bumper. So that was the first thing. And then I guess the second thing was when I went to the Alabama Hills, and I met two channels in the Alabama Hills. I messed up my step, and I think that's when the exhaust pipe on my and I didn't know it until later. The exhaust pipe on my generator came loose, and my step wouldn't come out. It wasn't the electronic type, but it was stuck. And so when I got to Oregon, Moorbang Tim fixed my step, and then Michael of California Travel Videos fixed hammered my exhaust pipe back on my generator. And then when I was leaving Alsea Falls, I clipped a trash can that was out in the street.
Kleptomaniac.
I can't believe it. Like I barely.
Now I know. Yeah, now I'm reminded why you were so nervous about the one at Lake of Dreams, and why I had to back your rig in.
Yeah,
trash. Anything.
You did not want to back in.
Pull this in.
You did not want to back in at M21. Travis came to the rescue, backed it in there, right through.
If I can find somebody who knows how to do it better than me and can do it and doesn't mind doing it, like at Alsea Falls, I had Time for Exploring Tim back my RV in. I was like, I was really, really a novice. But now you know what happened to me? Okay, so when I got to Tennessee this fall, I was at the KOA. I was visiting Joy Best Life, and storyteller Donnie Wheeler. And I got an employee to direct me, right? He's supposed to be directing me, but these spaces are so close together. I think it's the most expensive place I stayed at too. It was supposedly, I think it was like $85 or $90 a night. It was ridiculous. It was expensive, but they had a pool and a hot tub, and I went swimming and went in hot tub. But anyways, the employee's backing me in, and I hit the neighbor's slide, barely tapped it, but he was directing me. He wasn't looking. And I had no idea I was that close to the neighbor's slide. And then the neighbor, and the guy wasn't even paying attention. And then he just walked off. And the neighbor came over and said, can you pull forward a little bit? Because you're up against our slide. And then, oh goodness, it just was a whole mess. And then they descended on me and like fill out an accident report. And I'm just like, your employee, and the guy whose slide I hit, he got mad too, because he saw how they reacted and got onto me. And he said, I saw the guy backing you in. And so I got my whole stay at that KOA for free.
So yeah, you're gonna as Red says, I mean, maybe you get into a situation where you get into nomadic lifestyle, or you get into RV lifestyle, and you like with Red, she wasn't used to the size of the vehicle, and sometimes you make mistakes, and most people will take that in stride. Sometimes they're not so nice, as Red just described.
Those
And,
people were so nice. It was the employee's fault because he wasn't paying attention. And I didn't really damage their slide. I was just like up like against it. And so
have you, Travis, have you had any mishaps with any other parties in your travel so far, or is that something y'all worry about, or you just
We haven't had any. Well, I can actually say I haven't had any issues with anybody with other parties the entire time I've had my rig. Now there have been plenty of times where things were pretty close because of just the way that campgrounds were, and somebody else may not be as courteous to be good and centered on their lot, to where they're way close over to you, or for whatever reasons, but I've not had any issues yet with any incidents with another party, so far, whether it be my fault or their fault, but it's pretty much, it's that because of how big our rig is, I'm always extra careful on how slow I'm going into a lot, because the biggest rule of thumb is when you get to somewhere on a lot is to get out before you even try to get into the spot and walk your site, because you don't know what may have been left behind the previous campers that the camp host may not have caught, even though at most campgrounds they're supposed to inspect the sites after you leave to make sure there's nothing dangerous left behind, but you don't know where they've actually truly done it or not, or what they may have missed, even though they may have looked at it, whether it be nails or anything that could damage your rig or your pets or anything. Walk your site, know the site, pay attention to the heights of the tree limbs, pay attention to, how far back your pedestal is for your hookups, anywhere you go. I mean, it's just pay attention to what's around you before you actually pull into the parking spot.
Yeah, see, that's a good idea. See, and that's why I really messed up at the KOA, and I was just like not wanting, kind of like at Lake of Dreams when I had Travis back me in.
I was about to mention
I just didn't want to deal with it, and I'm like, okay, somebody else is dealing with this, and then lo and behold, I hit the neighbor's slide. But at Branson, there was nobody there. Like Danny Griswold was coming to that campsite, and like Marshall was coming to that campsite, but they weren't there yet. And so I had to back myself in myself. And so that's what I do. And it's like ridiculous. I'm just like, hopefully nobody comes and needs to get by, because I don't have a backup camera. So what I do is I get out and I look, and then I'll back up some, and then I'll get out of my rig. I'll put it in park. I put the brake on. I get out and I look again. I'm like, how much room do I have? I'm like, I do that at the gas stations now because of things that happened to me before. So
yeah, Travis's main concern at M21 was, it's somebody else's vehicle, and those things can jump out at you and they can happen. But I did notice that you did survey the area around before you actually, decided to, offer your help on that situation. So good job. I want to say hello to Hilda. I know you wanted to say something. You were saying something in chat. So you have the floor, Hilda. Hello, by the way.
Well, hello. What I was saying, sometimes people get into this life because they don't have a choice. Because like when I moved from Indiana to here, I didn't have the extra money to get a place to live or anything. So I lived out of my vehicle for 4.5 years. And if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because some of us don't have money, lots of money.
So how do you
outsider is like DoorDashed her way. She went to Mayberry and then she DoorDashed her way, and she's down in Florida now. I was just like,
so
you go, girl.
Hilda, following up on your comment, Hilda, how do you deal with that? In your mind, is it something you yourself tend to just roll with it? Well, that's the situation.
I just rolled with it. It was like if you don't have a place to stay or to live and all you have is your vehicle, that's all you've got. And you just do the best you can and do with what you have. If you don't have a lot of money, hey, that's what happens. It's part of life. But the thing is, if you don't have a roof, because your vehicle is the roof over your head for now. Right. If you don't have a sticks and bricks, as you call it, if you don't have one, hey, it happens. Because right now, when I get this vehicle fixed, I'd rather live in it than paying someone else the money to make them richer.
Right. John, it's been a busy conversation. Hello, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I've been waiting because I'm one of them folks. I'm going to tell you guys something.
Can't hear them.
Huh?
Hold on, I'll turn you up. Just go ahead and keep talking. You're good.
Can you guys hear me? 5 by 5?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. One, I'm going to tell you something that most people don't know about when they get into an RV, their first RV. Did you know that there's courses out there that will teach you how to back up a Class C or a Class A RV?
Many people don't know that, but that's good information.
Hey,
and I'm one of those. I've been certified as a RV teacher. I took a course at Naugatuck Valley Technical College a year ago. I can teach people how to back up your rig with backup cameras or without.
So what's your best advice for doing that for somebody new?
The best advice is, one, learn your rig. Before you even get the thing on the road, spend the night in the rig in your driveway. Learn your systems at home before you take it on the road. If you don't know your systems,
there's one thing. There's one thing you're not looking at. You got to depend. There's trees too, not just in your driveway. Too. But the thing is, I learned the way I learned how to back up a truck, a big truck, and a rig. I went to a parking lot with lots of trees.
And lots of
that's how I learned.
See,
I didn't have no one to teach me. But Red, if you need help, let me know and I'll back it up for you. Because I backed up a
I don't need help anymore, Hilda. I got it. Because like I just had to go and do, like I could sit there, like I started watching videos, I started watching YouTube, I YouTubed everything. I YouTubed about the blank tank, I YouTubed about, all this stuff, backing it up, all that stuff. I was sitting here and I was excited. I fell and I broke my kneecap right out in front of the house when I was bringing groceries in. And then I'm like, oh, now I can't. I was scared. And, Dee said, don't be afraid, but sometimes you can't help it. You're afraid anyways. I like to listen to this pastor called Joyce Meyer, and she says, do it, even though you're afraid. And that's what, like, I knew I had to do. And I was like watching all these videos and I'm just like, I just gotta like this can happen and that can happen. And, I learned all about the like poo pyramid and stuff before I even got in my RV.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Oh, no, and I'm like, I gotta stop watching these videos and I gotta just go. I had to just go.
That's what a lot of people.
I learned by doing things, and that's why I shouldn't if I ask you, Ron or Travis or Hilda, whatever. If I ask you to back up your RV, say no, Red. Do it yourself.
Well, I don't know about that.
Have the proper equipment
to help me
Hold on, John.
Anymore. Because of the situation at the KOA, I'm like, I can do it. I'm good.
But the thing about that, Red, is especially for me personally, is that I saw a few of those challenges that you had, and you were completely justified not wanting to deal with it that night. You just got there and just like, can somebody park this for me, please? Because
that night she just looked for the person with the biggest rig and said, "Park it."
Yes, she did.
I'm gonna get out of here.
I
Let
had
somebody else up.
texted Unai. I texted Ron. That's why you guys were
Later,
there.
Ron.
Appreciate it.
I love you, Ron.
Thank you so much for coming in. Is there anything else you want to add to the conversation before you jump out?
No, but you know, everybody's got to start. They don't know anything, and everybody out there had to go through all that same business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. Just do it.
I've towed over 400,000 miles delivering RVs, all the way from 10-foot little teardrops all the way to 44-foot fart models. I've been around a little bit, but y'all have a great night. Enjoy it.
Ron, thank you for coming
night.
up. Appreciate you coming in and offering your words on the subject. And you have a good evening, sir. And we'll see you next time.
Is it okay if I finish what I was saying, sir?
Sure, go ahead.
Now, there's one thing that every RVer should learn is to have the proper safety equipment ahead of time with them. A vest that glows in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Safety.
One of those yellow DOT vests or orange DOT vests. Everybody in the rig should have one of those vests. Everybody.
I'm a minimalist, John. I don't need one of those.
Some
What
people
else?
don't. They have a
people don't,
flashlight.
Yes, but sometimes flashlights are not DOT approved
Oh,
and
no.
cannot be seen.
Yeah, some of them are.
Well, that's another topic. But what else, John?
Another thing that you should have is you should have a pair of two-way radios or a pair of spotter flags.
Mm-hmm.
There are a pair of two DOT-approved flags that you could go like this with, where a person can look out the back of their, because you know how these Class Cs are, they have those big mirrors that swing out. You can look out those mirrors and see those flags. Or
well, that's only going to work if you're a pair. If you're alone, you don't have to have that stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
So that's not really something that every RVer should have.
Not all
Well, I'm
RVers
gonna
have
tell
them
you-
because they can't afford the kit.
Well, actually, the kits only cost between $5 and $6.
Not
The ones
anymore.
No,
No,
no, they're not, John. They're way more than that.
They're a lot
Oh,
more
they
than
went
that.
up? Because when I bought my kit, okay, they were like
When did you buy it?
3 months ago.
That's when it was cheaper. Now everything's gone
Oh.
up.
I'll check the prices on Amazon again.
Oh,
And
that's
another thing,
Amazon.
yes, also make sure you carry a flare gun like the type that they use on ships.
I have a kit that carries everything that I bought about 5 years ago.
Okay, that means it's a DOT approved kit with a yellow.
No, it's not DOT kit because it came from the DOD.
Yes, that's called a DOT kit if it comes
That's
from
not
DOT.
what they called it. That's not what they called it.
Well, here in Connecticut, we call them a approved DOD,
Hey, can I tell
DMV
y'all about
approved
what
kit.
happened when my awning broke? So I was so thankful because Meant to Be RVing came along right behind me when my awning broke because it was like hanging out, like I couldn't keep going. So I pulled
Is he
over.
the one who fixed your drawer?
No, Donnie Wheeler fixed my drawer. That was in
Okay.
October. I'm talking about May when I hit the trash can in Oregon.
Ooh.
When I left Alsea Falls, Meant to Be RVing, Mike and Teresa Meant to Be RVing were coming along right behind me because I was like, I don't like to go on my roof either because I don't like heights. I'm afraid of heights. So I was like, what am I going to do? Because it was like hanging out and like, it was halfway off. And like, I was like, what am I going to do? And so I was so thankful they came along and pulled over and Mike got out and he had these zip ties. When you're talking about stuff to have, I didn't have those. He had these zip ties. And what he did is he zip tied it. And they were thinking of when I went to Troy's Nomadic Rat Pack with Ron C and Cargo Dan and RVing with G, they were thinking they were going to fix it, but they were there to work on. I was like, no, you're here to work on Troy's RV. Don't mess with mine. I'll get it fixed when I go back to Illinois. And so those zip ties held until I came back here, and I guess that was July was when I got it fixed. But I was so thankful they came along to help, because
How bad was it?
I didn't have any of that stuff John's talking about. I don't think you need that, but that's my opinion.
Now, on your awning, how bad was it?
How bad was it damaged?
Was it bent, or
they had to replace the part like on the bottom?
Oh, okay.
So to get my awning fixed, and then when the hail damage happened in Denver, that was in June. So in May it was the awning got broken.
Okay.
And in June the hail damage, I got that fixed in July when I came back here, and I think it was about $600. I was really surprised. It was about.
So that's what my question is going to be. How much did it cost to repair just your awning? $600. So you have
my awning and replace my vent coverings that were damaged with the hail.
If you're going to go out in an RV, you know, sometimes you're going to have mishaps like that, and it might cost you a little money to get it fixed, and that's what we're talking about here.
And it was about that too, because this time when I came back here in end of October, my potty was leaking.
I remember
that was one of the reasons. There were a couple of reasons I wasn't able to go to the beach and take Kenneth to the beach, and I talked to Ron about it too. There were a couple of things that came up, and one of them was that my potty was leaking.
Did you get that fixed?
And then I
wasn't there something else with your engine?
What?
Wasn't there something else with your engine you had to get fixed, or was it the speedometer?
I got my gas gauge replaced.
Yeah,
but my gas gauge didn't work. My new gas gauge didn't work.
Yep.
Hi, Kenny.
But hey, Kenneth. And then when I got locked out of my RV, it was a malfunction of the lock. The locks on the RV side doors are not supposed to lock unless you lock them with a key.
Yeah.
When you go out of them, they're not supposed to lock. So that wasn't anything that I did or anything. And then the locksmith had to drill it out. So I had to replace that door lock. So again, I believe that was about $600 again to.
Wow.
So the bottom line is that you know, whether you enter the lifestyle in an RV, you're going to have potential costs that plays into the risk that you're taking with doing this lifestyle, and you're going to have things come up.
Like a car too. Just with a car too, the same thing.
That applies to everything. And so I'm running out of time. So I'm gonna take the opportunity right now to say I'm gonna give Travis the end.
He wants to say something because his hand keeps moving.
I see that.
Yeah. I got to drop down because we're where we're supposed to be going. So I got to get out of here so we can get unloaded.
Say hi to your better half.
I appreciate it, sir. It's just don't give up. It's just don't give up. No matter what your dream is, find a way to make it happen. You know, and don't be worried, because no matter what you choose to do, whether, like I said, whether you're 6 of bricks or you're on the road, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be obstacles. So don't let it stop you, because most of the obstacles that we face out on the road are the same kind of obstacles you're going to face if you live out of sticks and bricks.
Right.
It's just on a different freaking roof. Right. It's a different home.
Right.
But it's still the same type.
Different AC unit. It's a different water situation, water supply situation.
Yeah.
Travis, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you ask the hi right quick? Or she
already went poof.
Okay, so
she went poof.
So
she grabbed her stuff that quick and she's already there.
All right. Well, thank you for coming up.
She was not waiting on me.
I appreciate you coming up on the show and talking to us about your situation, financing your nomadic lifestyle. And thank you again. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, sir. Anytime.
Red,
Y'all have a good one.
You too. Red, good to see you. Thank you for coming up here. You got any final thoughts real quick?
Just do it. Even if you're afraid, just do it.
Right?
That's my motto.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. With that, if the panelists will drop down, please, I'm going to go ahead and just begin to wrap it up here. I'm gone 2 hours, so it's been a good conversation. And let me see who else has got some final comments here. We can
Wow.
pay car intent. Say that's the main thing for me. I'm living in my car. I'm gonna be living out of my car. I'm gonna be in a tent situation. I'm gonna be in a car camping for a little while until I'm satisfied with my finances to where I can. Bye, John. Thanks for coming in. And that's the way I'm gonna begin, and that's the risk, the risks involved that I'm gonna take with going out, starting in my car, and hopefully, my situation will improve once. Because the bottom line for me is that I've got about $1,400 of expenses a month in this sticks of bricks that I'm not going to have, once I go full time. And so hopefully, with that, with those funds being put in the bank, the situation will improve really fast as far as my situation. But whatever you do, however you do it, there's risk involved, but it's nothing you cannot overcome. I, for one, feel like the rewards vastly outweigh the risk that we take, because it's an occasional thing that might happen. It's not going to be a constant thing. If living a nomadic lifestyle is a constant annoyance for you because things are happening, maybe that's your cue that it's not your time or it's not for you. And if you enter a situation, as Hilda was talking about, and you simply have to do it for financial reasons, you can do it. You can do it. There's, the vast majority of people living the nomadic lifestyle in a vehicle or of some sort do so because they have to. Social Security doesn't pay very well for most people in this country, and so you have to learn how to budget, or you have to, you have to depend on somebody to offer you a room, or you have to find ways that maybe is not best for you to live your life, especially on Social Security on a budget. You can do that if you can plan it right. You can do it once the initial costs are covered. Then you can park somewhere and you can do it. But there's risk in the way you do it. There's going to be some sort of risk, but it's not gonna probably be on this the scale or the frequency that it kind of chases you away from the nomadic lifestyle. So take the chance, and especially if it's something that appeals to you, if you something that you're interested in, but for those of you that do have an income and can do the nomadic digital lifestyle like I'll be doing, like Travis and I do, absolutely consider it, because it's a fulfilling lifestyle as far as I'm concerned. I meet great people like Red and everybody that I've met, and we have experiences together, and we build memories, and it's all good. It's all good. And the times that something does happen, where you presented with the challenge, it's a lot more tolerable knowing, okay, well, let's take care of this problem so I can get back to living my best life. and seeing how great this country. Most of this country is just beautiful, and you can never begin to explore all of it. So take the risk and go out there and do it. Just do it, like Red says. Just give it a try, and don't. You might feel a little fear, but it's worth facing that fear to give it a chance. So totally encourage you to do so, no matter what your lot in life is. Give that a chance. And I'm going to be doing it in a car. So and there's a thousand different ways that you can make it happen if that's what you want. So we're at 2 hours now. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you, Red, for being here. Thanks for coming up, Hilda. Thank you for everybody in the chat that came in to visit and offered your comments. I appreciate. I know I haven't spent a lot. We've had a busy conversation on the panels. I haven't spent as much attention on the chat as I probably should have, but I do appreciate you all being here and helping to support this live stream. And with that, I'm going to say good. Oh, wait a minute. We have a last second visitor here. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
You almost cleared the screen for you.
I was looking for the underground. Sorry.
Oh, this is better. This is better.
And what you were saying, Ron, and plus life is too short. Do what you want to do before, anything happens. God forbid.
That's a good point. You only have so much time. And when you are running out of that time, as some of us, are, we might not dwell on it, but we are.
Do what makes you happy.
Yep.
Travel, do whatever, because you'll enjoy it, and you don't have to stay home all the time or go to work all the time. You're retired. Do what makes you happy.
Absolutely. So, Dan, good evening, sir. Glad you popped in here right quick. And
he wants to go fishing. He wants to go fishing.
Fish a lot.
That sounds fun right now.
Well, these days, I don't know if he's working a video game or actually fishing.
I don't get on the internet much anymore. I just, on my computer, I don't do that much. The weather's too nice to be sitting here in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And yeah, this is not the Taj Mahal, but that's okay because it's a base camp, and my son owns it, so I gave it to him, so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But get out there, just make sure you don't have a large car payment, and you got some kind of income. There is ways of making money on the road.
Yep. There's work camping, by the way. You can do jobs out there that are suited just for travelers.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's ranches that hire handy guys all the time, and women, to do things. So you can stay at a beef ranch and mend fences and irrigate and do all kinds of things like that. And it's not hard to do. Be like Bob Wells.
Let me just acknowledge a couple of people right quick. Gracie, I appreciate you stopping in. Always good to see you, and love talking to you on the phone. Linda Barker, thanks for coming in.
Hello.
Fordman, thanks for coming in. Megan, thank you. And thank you for your management of the array parade also. I know I can be a handful when it comes to that thing. I'm getting wired, it seems like every week, but this week especially, there's been a lot going on with the holiday and everything. So, Megan says hello to Bernie. So, hello also to, I think I got it covered there.
I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
That was my last thought as I get ready to sign off here. I hope you all are having a great holiday, had a great Thanksgiving, and enjoying your time off for the holiday weekend if you got it, and if you don't, it's probably tied to Black Friday, and you're having a nightmare. But
Oh my! I didn't even go out this year. I heard
Neither.
somebody. I went over to
Never
get
go.
pick up groceries for Thanksgiving. I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday or something, and the guy that was loading me up, he said, "Yeah, we had a fight in the cranberry aisle. They were
Oh my
fighting over the
God.
last can. Some
that'd
lady
be the
grabbed it,
last thing I'd fight over.
some lady grabbed the bottom, some lady grabbed the top, and they were fighting over it. And
Jeez.
finally, the girl that grabbed the top of it threw it on the ground, and it busted open. And she said, "If I can't have it, you can't have it either."
Oh my gosh.
That's ridiculous.
It's getting
Hey,
worse.
you go over to the produce section and get you some cranberries and crush them yourself. You know.
Exactly right. Well, with that story, I'm gonna stop it right here. I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate all the panelists. Thank you for coming up. Good to see you, Dan. I'm gonna be seeing you in person.
Yeah,
And
stick around for a few minutes after you close it,
all right,
so that we can talk. Okay.
okay. So and I'm gonna be seeing you in less than 2 months. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that.
All righty then.
Uh-oh.
No.
It's all good.
Yeah. And with that, 2 hours and 6 minutes, or almost 7 minutes, I'm gonna end it. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate
Bye.
it. We'll see you next time.
Good
See
night,
y'all later.
everyone. See you Christmas.
Bye, y'all.